Yo, what's good, everybody? Joey Dipping here at RespectMyRegion.com. Checking in live. We have Better Budtender Podcast, Episode 3. We've got a very special guest today, everybody. We've got Jarrett Duran representing Essence Cannabis Dispensary in Pasadena, California. Jarrett, what's going on, brother? How are you doing?
Hello, Joey. Thank you for having me on the podcast. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday evening. I'm doing well. Super grateful and excited to be here and just talk about my professional experience being in the cannabis space. Hopefully through our conversations, the audience members can get some tidbits, insights, and knowledge to help them have some key takeaways and enter the industry themselves.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you being on today. Not only does it mean a lot to me and learning about you as a person and hearing about, Essence and what you guys have going on over there, but this platform is all about helping empower other people. And so I'm particularly excited again to hear some of these tidbits, these insights as to how you have found yourself to be successful in the world of cannabis as a bud tender. You were recommended to us by someone who we recently featured as well. So big shout out to Mohave for recommending you to be on the show. So without further ado, my first question for you. Well, first let me explain it. We're going to do an interview. I'm going to ask you some questions, and then at the end, trivia. So we are going to test you just a little bit. So don't be afraid. We want to know. We want to highlight your experience and whatnot, and then also we got to get to the nitty gritty at the end. I want to find out what you know. So without further ado, Jarrett, how long have you been bud tending, and what is your favorite part about it so far?
So currently I've been working at Essence for about a month and a half. I started toward the end of the year, 2021, New Year 2022. And so far my experience has been really great. I have a really cool coworker team, member base. We're all supportive, open-minded, and helpful for each other. And I really think that plays a factor in kind of, providing a great work environment. And then just being able to now have the opportunity to kind of educate consumers or patients on how they can use cannabis in a medicinal and therapeutic way, in a safe space. A legalized dispensary has just been very, gratifying and a rewarding experience. Being able to help a consumer determine which product they need for the problem that they're looking at solving, and then having them come back and then get feedback oh, I really like your recommendation. This product worked really well for me. It's just a priceless and invaluable experience.
When I was a bud tender back in 2016 and for part of 2017, I really enjoyed the feeling you get of actually helping someone and having them come back, right? Then they come back, they're like, man, you recommended grape pie or purple bubba or green angry mammoth or something, whatever it is, right? And it's like that one, not only it got me high, I felt good. And then what really gets me going is when they're like, and then I went and did all this crazy shit. And then I killed, I aced my test, or then I went and ran a mile, or I cleaned my whole house. So for you, you've been bud tending for a little while now. Is there any kind of story or top of mind experience that you have that is someone saying something crazy to you in terms of what they're weed related at the store? What has a customer said to you that maybe they did on weed, or how did it make them feel? Did they maybe describe something certain crazy? Is there anything that really stands out from a crazy customer story perspective?
Great question. Just gonna take a moment to think.
No, this is a tough one. I remember, and I'll give you an example. Right? There's some strains called I think there was some strain called orangutan tits back in the day. And I remember when you have an older woman come in and ask about oh wow, what strain is this? Do you have anything orangey? And then your only option is orangutan tits. It's now you're just kind of in one of those moments where it could be funny, it could be bad, right? You know what I mean? So do you guys, maybe we'll pivot this one slightly. Do you how many customers, and this is something I'm super interested in, how many customers would you say, or do you notice, or maybe it's just an overwhelming amount, are really just only care about THC? Is it really, really as bad as they say?
It's maybe 30% of consumers really care about like the high potency, like just give me the highest dosed edible flower vape, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot more people at our store are just like a lot more intention focused kind of with the products. It is a little bit of an older demographic. So they're really like looking for that like healing and relief. And so they tend to go for like the more smaller, manageable dosage of products.
That makes a lot of sense. I feel like I was hearing, obviously in the industry, like we hear THC, 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 and it's all the customer cares about. But when you're a bud tender, you literally can talk to 100 customers a day, maybe 200 a day if you're there for 8 hours plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
For you, is there anything strain wise that you feel customers gravitate towards when it comes to strains? Like, are you noticing any trends? Is it the exotics? Is it the old school
Mm-hmm.
classics? Maybe it's the fruitiness. Are you noticing any trends currently out there in relation to strains?
Mm-hmm. I'd say maybe like if we categorize kind of consumers to like, we'll say like bronze, silver, and gold tier in terms of like how much they're willing to spend on
Okay.
cannabis products. I'd say for like the bronze tier, so kind of like lower end, people are just trying to get like the bang for their buck. So we see like a lot of, I guess, like pack stone. Like people come in just get like the half ounce or the ounce for like 60 or like $99.
Yep.
So
Yep.
great savings. And then those strains typically are like the indica. People want to get faded. So like the Private Reserve OG, and then also their hybrid 805 glue.
Okay.
And then I would say for like silver tier, a lot of, I guess, like Henry's Original, uh, specifically the Apple Fritter, which is a sativa dominant hybrid, and then their Bubba Kush, which is an indica. So I think, for the uplifting effects with the sativa, and then the more relaxing sedating effects with the Bubba Kush indica. And then, as a gold tier, so like more premium, top tier flower. Um, I feel like it's kind of like whatever's hot or kind of like what we're kind of promoting as budtenders. Right now, we just got in a new batch of Wonder Bread flower. So we've been kind of pushing that, and we've seen that more of the premium customers are looking for, I guess, more on the strain genetics, terpenes, and flavonoids that the strain has for a more holistic and, I guess, enriching experience.
So you guys have Pack Stone. I heard Henry's Originals and
Mm-hmm.
that top level Wonder Bread. Out of each of those, I'll call it categories or like you said tiers. Are you noticing any like now it's we're just getting out of the winter. There's some more sunny days. You know what I mean? Are you noticing
Mm-hmm.
sativas
Mm-hmm.
pick back up at all, or are we still in the indica time frame right now?
Mm-hmm. I'd say mostly hybrids and indica. A lot of people are using cannabis just for like the end of day relaxation or sleep purpose.
Yeah.
So they're either getting like the sleep variant gummies from like Wild, Kiva, or ABX extracts, or they're getting like indica flowers. And then I guess, yeah, with the sunnier weather, especially in like California, I have seen an uptick of like hybrids or just even just asking customers like, oh, what are you up to today? Like, what are your plans? Oh, I want to spend the day outside. I'm like, yeah, that's wonderful. Enjoy your cannabis too while you're at it, and get the benefits of both being sunshine, greenery, and cannabis consumption.
I could not agree with you more on that one. I feel like a little lighter action here, perfect. What do you personally smoke? Are you more indica sativa hybrid? Are you chasing high THC? Are you more terpene driven? Describe yourself in that perfect cannabis experience.
Mm-hmm. I try and be, I guess, intentional and conscious of what product I'm using for, I guess, the experience that I want. Lately, I guess I've been leaning toward more on exploring indicas, just as like an end of the day, relaxing and like sleep focus. I have a Whoop band. It's a health tracker, but it gives me insights into my sleep cycle. So it's interesting to like have certain strains or take certain products and see how my quality of sleep is affected with the
Oh
cannabis
wow.
use. Yeah. And then I guess I like to work out, but in that situation, more like uplifting effects. I like sativa, either a vape, or I really like the Pro Tab sublingual tablets from Levels.
Yep.
Very potent, fast absorption. I like to put underneath my tongue for even the quickest absorption time. But having I guess the THC in the system then, and the uplifting effects from a sativa terpene profile to help with exercise and kind of pushing through the pain at like that 5 to 10 milligram THC dose.
Get the body a little high, right?
Yeah.
Get it a little high, and then be able to still be clear enough that you can really put time, energy, focus, towards what you want.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Now, my next question for you, Jarrett, is it's kind of about like the best weed that you've smoked. It doesn't necessarily have to be at Essence. When before you got in the industry, what would you say was the best weed you smoked and why? Because I've always I meet people frequently and they're always like, man, do you remember that strain back in the day, bro? That fucking 98 pre-98 Bubba Kush, or that this, that. What do you remember from your version of back in the day as a weed smoker?
Yeah. I guess back in the day for me would be like 2016, like 2017 would be like my early days for starting out with cannabis. I really liked Blue Dream. I don't know, at that time, Green Crack, Durban Poison, and then on the off chance of getting like some moon rocks from stores, those are always
okay.
special occasions.
I like that. Going for the infusion. I like it. I like it. Now, is there a strain that you gravitate towards, or a certain kind of flavor profile that you really prefer?
I say like sativa strains, like the Blue Dream, Green Crack, Durban Poison. A new one that I recently tried is called Crescendo from THC Design. They're a premium cultivation company in California. But I guess more of that energizing, uplifting, like sativa effects, and then with like a citrusy or fruity type of flavor profile.
So like the citrusy, citrusy, piney, kind of electric, a little bit of that racing. Now, when you're smoking this kinds of the cannabis, what can you describe the effects that it has for you, and why you enjoy that, or why you prefer that?
Yeah. As an example, within my daily life or routine, like every other weekend, I try and spend some time in nature. Fortunate enough to have like a local park where I'm able to safely like consume cannabis. And so I'll usually go on a walk, take like a sativa strain pre-roll, and smoke and walk, enjoy the early morning, the sun on my skin, and just use that time to reflect. And I intentionally use like sativa strains during those moments, just because I feel that it allows my brain to operate faster. I'm able to connect thoughts or kind of allow myself to go deeper than I'm usually able to without being under the effects of cannabis. And so I use sativa strains to be able to stimulate my mind, be in a nice environment such as nature, to allow myself to really reflect with the intent of, I guess, just developing or, creating a more positive, abundant, and optimistic mindset.
And now I think this goes without saying, but you obviously feel that cannabis improves your life and the quality of it.
Yes, I would say it does, but also, there are moments or times when you can be consuming a bit too much too frequently, and it can be, a little detrimental. But I think
that's actually perfect. Let's segue into that. Actually, let's segue into that, Jared. That's a great comment for you to make, because life is all about balance, right? And when you start to consume too much cannabis, it actually can have some serious ramifications on the body, your time, even finances at the end of the day. So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about that. What are some situations where cannabis could be potentially detrimental, or not necessarily the best for somebody?
Yeah. I guess from my experience, I can recall, I think I was like entering my last year of college. And I was about to start my last semester. I was at home in my apartment, like my roommates didn't come back from winter break yet for like a week. So I kind of just had like an apartment to myself. And at the time I was just like consume a bunch of weed. Like, what else do you do? Like, it's kind of rainy or gray outside, like all alone. But I guess in that moment, I noticed that also, like, I journal a lot, so I like look back on like what I wrote during that time period. But like, I would use cannabis in that environment to kind of just like escape, I guess, like the realities. And I guess the realities I was trying to face was like, okay, you're going to be graduating, you're going to have to, you know, become a professional, and professional, you're going to, you know, start your next chapter of your life. And so when you're using a substance such as cannabis consistently and frequently, like I would say like multiple times a day, as a way to escape kind of like the responsibilities that you have, then that's when it could be a problem or an issue. And, you know, once you're done, you know, being high or whatever, and like you didn't achieve anything at the end of the day because you're just constantly seeking that escape, it kind of further digs yourself mentally and emotionally deeper into like, oh, like I didn't meet my expectation, I didn't do so well. And then it kind of places you in a position where you're more susceptible to be like, okay, you know, I want to escape this feeling of, you know, not living to my full potential again. And it kind of can build into a continuous like digging deeper type of cycle of, oh, I didn't achieve what I need to do, I'm gonna get high, you know, then you like kind of procrastinate, don't achieve what you need to do, get high, and then
That's something that people don't typically talk about as well, and this is why I wanted to highlight it briefly. Is there is a darker side to cannabis, right? There's a lot of positivity, but there is, you know, weed at the end of the day hits us all different, right? And we all have different habits and different traumas and different things and stressors and life experiences that can really cause us to be, right, up, down, left, right, whatever it is. And like what you said is a great point. Now, and this I just want to highlight on this moment now, everybody, you know, cannabis, as great as it is still all about balance, right? If you are sitting there smoking indica strain after indica strain, you're not getting anything done, maybe it causes you to eat and your diet goes to shit. Yeah, you got to really change some habits. Now, whether it's me or whether it's Jarrett here, you know, I feel like with our experience, we're definitely able to guide you guys based on strains, you know, based on, you know, the effects of certain products or the impact that they can have over with, you know, with consistent use, right? So you mentioned earlier, you touched on a couple flower products, and I think you mentioned a pre-roll, and then you said something about pro tabs. Can you walk me through some of the most popular items in the Essence cannabis stores?
Yeah. So sleep, I would say, is like one of the most sought after effects or problems that people are looking to have better quality of life in. And so the most popular, I'd say, edibles would be the Kiva Camino Midnight Berry. So those are a gummy with a dosage of 5 milligrams of THC to 1 milligram of CBN. So a nice little dosage of THC to kind of get some stimulating effects, some drowsiness, relaxation, and then the CBN for even promoting more drowsiness and relaxation for sleep. And then kind of what's like the next level to the Kivas are the wild elderberry gummies. These come in a dosage of 10 milligrams of THC to 5 milligrams of CBN. So about double the THC concentration of the Kiva and then 5 times the concentration of their CBN. So a little bit more potent. Give those to more seasoned consumers. You know, I try to introduce them to the Kivas first since they're lower dose. And then if those don't work or, you know, they need to take 2, then hey, maybe try the wilds. You only have to take 1 gummy at a time.
Now, real quick, just because I understand the language you're speaking, I take these gummies, I buy them, and I understand the different cannabinoids. But real quick, can you give a quick breakdown of what CBN is and does for the people?
Yeah, so CBN, cannabinol, is a cannabinoid found within the cannabis plant. There's over 144 different cannabinoids within the cannabis plant, and it's just, you know, a matter of time for us scientists and researchers to kind of determine what are the effects of each cannabinoid. But the 2 most popular that people hear of are, you know, THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, and CBD, cannabinol, cannabidiol. And so CBN, preliminary like animal research, is showing that it helps with promoting relaxation and sleep. And then within my own personal experience of taking products with CBN, I do feel a little bit more drowsy than without.
They're heavier, man. They make your body feel
heavier.
So heavy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, and then CBD, cannabinol, that usually binds with the CB2 or the cannabinoid 2 receptor within our body. Every human being has an endocannabinoid system, which is just like a system of receptors on our body. And that's what cannabis compounds bind to give us the effects that we experience. And so CBD binds usually to CB2 receptor, and that engages our peripheral nervous system, responsible for managing like fight or flight. Or so that's kind of like being up or being calm. And so it kind of promotes the calming effects, or that's how the biological mechanisms provide the calming effects. Meanwhile, THC binds to primarily the CB1 receptor that's found mostly in the central nervous system. So that's like our spinal cord and our brain. And so with that activation areas, that's where we get more of the psychoactive and cognitive effects, with the THC versus CBD.
Man, let me ask you this question. How long do you say you've been budtending for?
A month and a half, but prior to budtending, I started a CBD brand out of college, and
So
so
you
I
knew,
did all the ins and
you knew a
outs.
little bit about the cannabinoids.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
okay. I was about to say, because for a month and a half long bud tender there, brother, you definitely spit that to a T. So I've got to say, I'm impressed, and we haven't even started the trivia yet. So I've got a good feeling about that. Yeah, for you
Yeah,
later on here with the trivia. But
should be fun.
let's go ahead and get back to the next question here before we bore these people to death with cannabinoid science, because ultimately they just want it to taste good, get them high, and have the effects that they like, right? And they
They
want to
want.
do that consistently. So
Exactly.
we already went over the best weed you've ever smoked, right? We talked a little bit about the Blue Dream being one of your favorites. Do you have a current favorite?
Current favorite, with exploring the indicas, I'd say Diamond Dust by Clade 9. They're a cultivation indoor grow in LA, downtown LA.
Clay
But
9
they've
getting the
won a
love.
couple awards. Yeah, been in a couple awards for their genetics. So yeah, I really like it.
Big shout out to
Sedating,
Clay
full
9.
body, full body experience.
Diamond Dust.
Mm-hmm.
Diamond Dust. I definitely have smoked it. I don't know the genetics, but I know I believe they put the genetics on their jar though. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so shout out to the Diamond Dust from Clay 9. They're out here doing their thing. Shout out to Mr. Cannabis. About to see him here in a little bit. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good question. This question was curated by one of our producers. Um, what is one thing you'd like to change about the industry if you could? If you had one wish.
As one thing that I'm personally pursuing, and I guess is kind of leveraging the power of technology to really elevate the quality of life and health that we can live. I guess with the CBD brand that I started, our flagship product was like a customizable gummy. Like we figured, like, people come into the store and like, yeah, you could get like a 10-to-1 ratio, a 5-to-1 ratio, a 1-to-1 ratio of like CBD or THC, but like everyone's different. And like, what if we could dial in so that you could get the exact dose that you need? And so I guess with the industry and its evolution, I like to see where we can use hardware and software, like wearables, to kind of understand, how is our body operating physiologically, like heart rate variability, blood temperature, and then be able to use those data points to be like, oh, now's the time to take your 5 milligrams of THC and 2 milligrams of CBD. Now's it for work. Now's the time to take your 10 milligrams of CBD and 5 milligrams of CBN to go to sleep so that you're waking up fully restored. So I guess the real, scientific application, research and development, so that cannabis can be used to provide like a personalized, holistic experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I would love that. And one of my questions that stems from that then becomes, which data points relate to which receptor and CBD and cannabinoid and all those things. Like if our body is sending off all these signals, we're just setting off all these signals. Like you said, if I'm up and this strain is making me, uppity, giggly and wiggly and my body's tingly and all this stuff, what is the data points and what does that look like, right? And what kind of wearable or trackable can ultimately help improve that holistic experience for people. I love that. I'm a big fan of technology. I think that's genius. I think that'd be dope. That'd be super dope. All right. What do we got? All right. So you've been a budtender for just a little bit, but now that you've been a part of the industry here for the last, we'll call it 45 days or so, what would you say is some advice for people that are looking to get into the industry? Right now that you know some things, what do you feel other
Mm-hmm.
people should know?
Yeah. I guess if you want to start getting into the industry, you got to start going to events. You got to start meeting people. Like meetups, Eventbrite, Facebook groups. Those are all free platforms to kind of find the cannabis community. Instagram, Reddit. But in that way, like you're able to meet others, and then you could create opportunities for yourself. I guess from my personal experience, like I'm based in LA. It was like before COVID, like 2019. Saw that there was going to be a cannabis entrepreneur meetup. Went to the event. Kind of pitched my idea of how my company was making some CBD focus gummies. And then there's a lawyer that works at a cannabis incubator. And so just they liked my story, the product idea, and then kind of just went through like a license application process over the past 2 years with them. But that was just like a cool opportunity to like see like what's required for a company to start manufacturing. What's the paperwork or business model required to meet the legal standards to operate in California. And then that whole learning experience just started from going out to events, meeting others in the space, and
I love it.
kind of just creating opportunities for yourself. So I'd say, yeah, if you're thinking about getting into the industry, and if you're not in it, then start meeting and interacting with people that are in the space, and you'll kind of like hear all these ideas. And as long as you know like what your interests are, where your skills are, and hear all these interesting ideas talking with others, then you can kind of find your own lane. And yeah,
huge
join the budding industry.
Free game, everybody. Jarrett over here is giving out intensely valuable, an insanely valuable game. So definitely make sure. I think the summary here is get to events and just put yourself out there and be friendly and network with people and ask some questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to add to all of what you said by saying closed mouths don't get fed. Ask for opportunity.
Facts.
My name's Joey. Jarrett, nice to meet you. I'm looking for an opportunity. I'm trying to do this. If you can say that to people, someone is going to tell you to go this way or that way or over here or talk to this or like something's going to happen. And that's really all we can do. So my next question, have you worked in like traditional retail before or is cannabis retail your first?
I've done, I guess, previous retail experience at like a drugstore, so like a pharmacy clerk, so prescription meds. Instead of
Would you say this is similar, different, or like or maybe could you identify some of the key major differences altogether?
Similarities in terms of like the care that you have to have and like patient profile information, like whether it be prescriptions or cannabis, making sure that the orders, like what they order, there aren't mess-ups, and I guess the data being transferred. And then differences, cannabis. I guess I just feel like cannabis is a lot more stress-free. I mean, if you're in this industry, you usually like the plant, or like you're passionate about the space if you're working in the industry. But being able then to have that environment of being able to speak your passion and talk about it is like a big difference, I guess, from like traditional retail.
No, that's fair. All right, so I've got two good questions. Before we get on out of here. All right, so the first one, describe the smell of weed.
I mean, first word that came to mind was beautiful. That's not really a smell.
I love it. This is why it's such a good question.
Yeah. I mean, it could be energizing, blissful. I guess those are the effects or the emotional responses that I have to the smell of weed.
No,
those
can describe a smell.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess depending on the strain, you know, it could be like citrusy, piney, earthy, pungent. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's always a
Okay.
pleasure when opening like a fresh jar and getting that first strain smell, first flower smell. It's always a pleasure.
I 100% agree. This sour cupcake that I'm smoking on over here had this really unique, like citrusy, piney, but also it's like really, really gassy. Now, this is the last question I'm going to end the night on in terms of the interview, and then we're going to get to the trivia. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you could name any strain, what would you name it? Okay. That's the first part of the question. The second part of the question is what are the genetics in that strain? And the third part is what are the effects?
Dang.
This is a good one.
Genetics.
Everybody in the audience who's watching as well, I want you guys to think about what would you name your strain? What would the parent genetics be? Okay? And what would the effects be? And I want you guys to comment it below. Okay? I want to know what your strain is. I want to know what the parent genetics are. I want to know what kind of high it's going to give me. For me, I'm going to just come up with one off the top. Okay? It's the 41 OG. One word. Okay? It'd be a Gelato 41 crossed with like a Skywalker OG or like a true LA OG, something citrusy and gassy, makes you fucking paranoid, makes you feel like you're drunk. But also the gelato, right? The 41 is going to be gassy and spicy and this muskiness, right? You're just it's like it's it's some rapper weed, it's some exotic. It could be Zaza or is it OG? It's both. Like it's both. And for me, I'd call it the 41 OG. I already described the parent genetics, and then the effects. I mean, it's gonna be gassy, it's gonna be piney, it's gonna be creamy on the linalool. The effects is pretty simple. It's gonna make you feel like drunk for like 30, 40 minutes, and then you're gonna get sleepy as fuck, and then you're gonna get hungry, and then you're probably gonna eat a bunch of shit and drink some water and then go to bed. Like it's just that's off the top right there. What about you, brother? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I started with the effects first to kind of get to the genetics and get to the name.
Okay.
But yeah, so effects, I was going for a euphoric, focused, calm, relaxing, and full body. And then, so for those effects, I was thinking genetically would be like sativa and an indica dominant flower, so I went with green crack and the diamond dust.
Ooh.
And then from that name, I'm going to go with emerald diamonds.
Emerald diamonds for the strain. I like it. I come from the Emerald City of Seattle. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. All right, everybody. Now, without further ado, Jarrett, are you ready for episode 3, Better Budtender Trivia?
Yes.
Woo!
A little nervous.
All right. Here we go. Now, if you ace these questions, I'm going to ask you questions from the previous episodes. Deal?
Okay. Sounds good.
Because we did have someone, episode 2, she got 5 out of 6. All right. So episode 3, question number 1, trivia, Better Budtenders. Let's go. What are the parent strains for runts? Oh, and you're on your computer right now. You better not be cheating. I see. It's very clear that you're like on the computer while we're doing trivia. So it's like Scouts honor.
I'll be honest. I do not know, but it is Skittles with gelato.
Okay, he said he didn't know, but yes, correct. It is Skittles and gelato. All right, everybody, we are 0 for 1 so far. All right, Jerry, you got to know your exotic strains. If I come in there, I'm guaranteed I'm asking for some gelato and some runts. Number 2, This is going to be a tricky one, but I have faith in you, Jarrett. I have faith. I think you know your terps. I really do.
Terps.
Name two of the dominant terpenes in wedding cakes.
Wedding cakes.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
The beta
Okay,
carophyllene.
yes, that does that. Yes, sir. Here we go.
I want to say linalool.
That one could technically qualify, but it's not one of the top 3 we usually see in the strain.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you one more shot on this one. 3 chances. There's 3 listed here. All you need is 2 out of 3. Caryophyllene, you already got. When you smoke wedding cake, what do you taste? What is the profile that you taste?
Resin.
Oh, he got it. Coming in clutch. That's a late connect, man. That's a first down right there, man. Okay, here we go. Woo! Coming in hot. The other terpene that we had was limonene. So, folks, when you smoke wedding cakes, typically you're going to get a blast of some citrus. You're definitely going to get spicy caryophyllene or caryophyllene, depending on how you say it. And you're most often, if not always, going to get a heavy dose of myrcene, aka myrcene. Again, however you say it. Wedding cake, one of the most popular strains still to this day. All right, question number 3. Here we go. Where else are terpenes found besides cannabis?
Other plants such as limes, lemons, oranges.
Okay. Yeah. Now that one was a little easy for you. That one was a little easy. So you got 2 out of 3. I'm going to give you a second chance on a parent strain question. Do you accept?
Yes.
All right, here we go. We're going to go back. You get to choose. I assume you didn't watch the previous episodes?
No.
All right, so you can pick. I'll let you choose episode 1 or episode 2.
Episode 1.
All right, here we go. He thinks he's getting an easy one because it was episode 1. He's not. He's not. All right. Name 2 of the dominant terpenes found in OG Kush. Now, if you're in the crowd and you watch the episodes, don't comment the answer and tell him. Keep it to yourself.
Terpenes. OG Kush.
Yep. Think about what OG Kush tastes like consistently. What are those terps?
Linalool? No? Yes.
That is again not one of the first 2 or first 3 that we have
about
listed.
The dominance.
Correct. You're gonna be frustrated.
Myrcene.
All right. You're looking at the computer. We see you cheating over there.
No, I was guessing on the myrcene. I was just thinking like heavy indica would be like there's some myrcene, and then linalool.
You already said linalool. Linalool and myrcene is what you've said.
And then
what do you think OG Kush is? Oh, the silence. This is a tough one. Are we stumping him? Ooh, I think we got a stump. All right. I'll give you the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, and
limonene.
Oh, you're coming in clutch, my man. All right, Jarrett. All right, that was a good one. I like it. So we gave it to you there. OG Kush, limonene, caryophyllene, and myrcene. That's why I said you were going to be frustrated. It's almost identical to a wedding cake. The differences are in the ratios. And that's what's really interesting about cannabis is, number one, it's different for everybody. And it's different because the strains, the nugs that you smoke, they all have different profiles. Every single nug is unique. Every single nug is unique. And so every time you smoke, it's not going to be identical to the experience before. And that's what that's what makes cannabis beautiful, blissful, wonderful. For me, inspires me to want to help other people and to also get healthier myself. Now, just for shits and giggles, just because I want to see if you know this one, do you know what the parent strains are for Girl Scout cookies? Because I didn't get this one either. This one was tricky.
Girl Scout and
So Girl Scout cookies, this is why it's a tricky one. Girl Scout is OG Kush and Durban Poison. Now I only mentioned that because you mentioned Durban Poison earlier because you like the sativas.
Mm-hmm.
My very first favorite strain was a strain called Dutch Treat, and I absolutely loved Durban Poison as well. Those two were just my crack, like you were saying. But anyways, Jarrett, I really appreciate you being on the episode and hanging out with us today. For everybody watching, definitely please be sure to visit Jarrett over at Essence Cannabis Dispensary. They are located in Pasadena, California. Be sure to check them out on Instagram. Search them on Google. They are all over the place in terms of dispensaries in Nevada, as well as they've got this one here in Pasadena. Jarrett, I don't know what days you're working, but if you're willing to share, I'm sure the people would love to hear what days you're there so they can come visit and maybe take some recommendations from you.
Yeah, I'm usually there 4 out of 7 days out of the week. So
nice.
On the off chance you visit, I'll probably be there.
Yeah. There we go. Hey, you're there the majority of the week, and that's what matters. Is you're there helping people. I really appreciate you for hanging out with us. Everybody, please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Better Budtender Podcast, Episode 3. We had Jarrett Duran representing Essence Cannabis. Big shout out to Essence. Big shout out to today. I was smoking on some Mohave cannabis. What were you vaping on over there?
It was the Purple Punch from Kurvana.
Purple Punch, and big shout out to Kurvana doing their thing. And I think what did you said you had some Rove? You had some Rove over there too?
Yeah, there's a Rove Herbal Mint. It's a CBD 10-1.
Woo! Get it in on the live resins and the high THCs. All right, brother. Well, Jarrett, man, thank you again so much. Everybody, we will see you on the next week's episode. We've got more budtender information, more content, more interview questions down the road. Be sure to tap in, like, follow, subscribe.
Yes, thank you for hosting.